Hello, it's Jeremy again from To The Table Games, and it's time for me to do a review. I should be doing reviews on board games if I'm talking about board games, right? But before I get to my review, I decided I wanted to do a Bible study on the game that I'm reviewing because it made me think a lot about rest and restoration. So I got in to the Logos app and started searching restoration, and that didn't really fit for what I was like feeling. And so then I really started studying the word rest, and I came to this Bible verse from Matthew 6. It's Matthew 6:31, and it just really stuck out to me. And so to give you a little context, the disciples, Jesus had just sent them out two by two to go preach repentance and to cast out demons and to heal. And it's really the first time they're going out and doing the work like Jesus was doing. Like Jesus had been healing the sick and casting out demons, and so now he's calling them to do it. And so they go and they do this. And the first thing when they get back, Jesus says this to them. This is at least the first thing it says in the Bible that he says to them. He says, "Come away by yourself to a desolate place and rest a while. For many were coming and going, and they had no leisure to eat." So, one of the reasons this stuck out to me, well, number one, I don't spend enough time resting. I'm constantly busy doing stuff for the church and doing stuff for fun, playing board games, making videos now, raising my son. I'm constantly busy. And so it just made me really think about being mindful of taking care of myself and resting and, sitting down for a meal and all of those things. And really, Jesus, he knew they went and they were doing his will and his work. And then when they got back, he's like, well, now it's time to rest. They needed time to eat and to recharge. And so I'm going to really be mindful and try to be better about taking rest and recharging. And so I'm just thankful, or at least this is what this verse spoke to me. So now, why did I think about rest and recharge? Well, the game that I'm going to be reviewing today is A Place for All My Books. And in this game, you're kind of like an introvert, and to go out and to face the world and to be social, you need to recharge your social battery by reading books and sorting books in your house, and just kind of doing stuff, more relaxing, peaceful things. And you love collecting books, so you want to recharge so you can get out to the city to collect more books and bring them home. And so this is a really charming game, and it made me, I'm not really an introvert. I like being social and hanging out with people. And so it also made me just really think about, other people and people that are different than me, and I thought that was really cool. And so, but I don't want to get too much into my thoughts. I want to do an overview really quick, and then we'll come back and I'll give you my final thoughts on the game. So, all right, I'll see you in a second. In this game, you'll start at your house with a low social battery, and you will be doing actions at home to recharge and to build up your social battery. You'll also be trying to complete different of these little projects. And when you complete these, they're worth points at the end of the game. And they are also can give you, this is social battery, so that would be 3 social battery, 3 social battery. Or this is a card, this will give you cards called other neat stuff. And I'll show you those when we get to the town. So you'll be working towards those. Now, how do you do that? Well, it'll be worker placement, and you have one meeple, and you'll be placing this meeple on the board doing different actions. You have to place it on a different spot every round. So 2 of the main actions to move your books around would be the sort and the gather. Now, the sort lets you pick up a stack like this, and you can place redistribute these books throughout your house, but you can only do stacks of one or two, and you can add to other stacks, or you can rearrange them and then stack them. So I did that way, and there's a reason why I place them that way, and I'll show you in a second. But you also gain a social battery and do that. So I go up to 4. Now then you could also take and do the gather action, which lets you take the top of several different piles, and then you create a stack, and then you put there somewhere in your house as well. And that is how you do the gather. You'd move up another social battery. You can also get more little projects by going here. You get 2 social battery when you go there, and you would draw 2 more of these cards. And so that's that action. Then we have read a book, which lets you take any book from a stack and place it on your nightstand. And this right here is your nightstand, and I will show you a little later in the game what you use the nightstand for. There are 2 more actions. One is leaving the house, which I'll explain that last, and then you have admire. And when you admire, you'll go here and you will admire your little projects that you've completed. So I know that I've completed this one. You could complete several if you wanted to, but I'm just going to complete this to show you. So you take this and you get your social battery 1, 2, 3, and then you'd put this underneath your player card, and you would get those points at the end of the game. But also, if my favorite book color is blue, hence the blue board, I would get 3 if the books that I have the most of are blue in my house, and you start the game that way. So I would get another 3, 1, 2, 3. So I really built my social battery up pretty quickly. So once you get to about 13 to 20 social battery, you will want to go into town because you're ready, you're rested, you're restored, and you're ready to see people again. And so the next thing we would do is move to the city, and I can show you some more of the things in the game. So you would take this action, you would instantly move down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you would move to the city. So let's move over to the city board. So once you've paid your social battery and you head to town, the first thing you do is you would take the sun and move it 1 circle closer to the end, and that's actually the timer for the game. And I had it on the 2-player spot, but there's also a 3-player spot, and you flip the board over, there's a 4-player option as well. Then you pick a spot on the board and you go there. So we could go to the bookstore, which I really like how this Barnes & Noble version has the actual Barnes & Noble bookstore. I think that's really cool. So you'd place your meeple there, and then you could take all of one from one shelf. So there's 3 shelves, and you take the card and all the books. So to go to the one with the largest, it would cost 6 social battery, medium would be 3, and then the smallest would be 1. And so you would take one. So let's say I take the middle one here, costing me 3 social battery, and then I would put these books in my backpack, which is on my player board. And then once you go back home, you actually take those stacks and sit them in your house. And then I would draw 3 more from this amazing velvety bag full of books. And I would put 1 in each spot. And I would also draw another little project card. And then, as you can see, there is still a large, small, and medium shelf. That will always be the case. And so that would be one of the actions. One of the other actions I could do is I could go to the library, which then I would draw 4 books, and it's 5 if it's a 4-player game. So then I would take one, put it in my backpack, and then the other ones I would just put in on the different shelves at the bookstore. And then I had mentioned the nightstand when I was talking about the home. Well, you would take all those books from the nightstand, which we had 3 books on the nightstand. We would take those, and so there's 2 red and a yellow, and I would put them back in this bag, and then I would take whatever colors I wanted out of this bag. So maybe I wanted to take 3 blue, and then it also, you get +1. So maybe then I want a green for some reason. Maybe I need an extra green book, and then I would put those in my backpack. And so that is the exchange books. Then you also can go to the village shop, and this is where you get these cool other neat stuff cards. And so those are, I had showed you the cards with the suitcases like that, and that's what gets you these cards. And these are, some of them are end game scoring, like this one. This one also is end game scoring, but there's like a bunch of different ones. This one just lets you gain 3 when you rest. And so they do lots of different things. I really like these cards a lot. And so you can buy 4, or I mean, you can buy 1 of these for 4, both of them for 9, or you can draw randomly for 3. And that is most of the spots. There's one more spot that you can't actually move to in town. And that spot is, if somebody wants to go to a spot you're at, they'll kick you off that spot and you'll take a walk in the park and you'll recharge 2 social battery. And those are all the spots. Once you've run out of social battery, you will head back home to recharge again. And once this reaches the end, you'll finish the round, take 1 more round, and then you'll calculate your points. And your points will be for other neat stuff cards, little projects you complete. Every book is worth a point. And then the other thing I didn't mention is there'll be 3 of major accomplishments in the game. And these are just a little bit more complicated projects to work on in the game. And they're kind of a race. The first person there gets a little more points, and then everyone else would get the smaller amount of points. And there's 3 of those you can work towards throughout the game. And that is how you play A Place for All My Books. Well, what do I think of the game? First thing I want to talk about is the art and components. So the art, to be honest, it's not my jam. I don't really like the art that much. I mean, I think it's fine art. I think they're good drawings, and it fits the theme really well, but I don't like how muted it is. I don't like this cartoon style. So overall, I'm not a big fan of the art in this game. But the components really make up for it, because the components are awesome. So you get these wooden books, and a nice felt bag. And this is the Barnes & Noble version, which also comes with like custom chunky meeples. And so those are really nice. And this version actually comes with a bookmark too, which I might never use, but I thought that was cool. Components are awesome. Art, not so awesome. So that's what I think about that. So the next thing would be the theme. And the theme is where this game really shines. The theme doesn't feel tacked on. It feels like this game was designed for this theme, not the theme put onto a game that already exists. It's like when you're at home, you are isolated, just basically playing a game by yourself, which makes sense for, being at home, working to build up your social battery. And then when you go out into town, you begin to start interacting with players and fighting for stuff. And so that just makes sense thematically. So I really think that's awesome. I like how the theme makes me think about people who are different than me, because I am not, I'm very social. I'm not an introvert in any way. So it makes me think of people that are like that, are different than me, and I think that's really cool. The theme could do that, and I think this theme also is a theme that um, would bring people to the table. People that maybe wouldn't play a game might see this game and they're like, I like books. What? You have to build your social battery? That's really cool. I want to try that game. I think that this game does that. This is an awesome original theme. I think it's amazing, and it probably brings it up a notch or two for me because it's just such a cool theme, and I think this theme can bring new people to the table. So I think that's awesome. The next thing that I wanted to talk about was gameplay. And the gameplay, I think, is really fun. I think trying to figure out how to move your books around in your house, to complete project cards, but also to move up your social battery in an efficient way is super fun. I like that a lot. I think it's a good puzzle. And when to go out into the city, when you feel like you have enough to do all the things you want to do. And so I like that a lot. I don't think that it takes too long. And I really, really like the other neat stuff cards. Those are really, I think, what just puts the game up a little bit more than just like a basic game, right? Because it's like, I mean, if you were just collecting books to get points and completing those cards, it would still be fun, but I think the special abilities and different scoring options with the other neat stuff cards really starts to give you a focus of things that you want to go for and things that you can do. Makes it easier, and I think that's super awesome, the other neat stuff. The one thing that I would say, or there's actually a couple things that I would say could be, a hindrance for people, is there's not a lot of variability. So when you play this game, the first time it's going to be the same, the second time, the third time, the fourth time, and that might make it lose its luster after a while because it doesn't, you don't have any new options to put in there. So I mean, so far I've played it a bunch of times and I like it a lot, but it's not. I mean, it could begin to go down the list after a while. The other thing is sometimes you maybe don't get the right project cards in the beginning of the game, or when you're getting them, they don't really fit with the books and the setup you have, and it can kind of make it a little difficult to really get your engine going, where you see other people just like, completing cards, and that can be a little bit. I've had a game like that where it just felt like, oh, I'm really struggling to get going, but I eventually did get it going, and I felt like I was competitive in the game by the end, but I could definitely see that being something that maybe people struggle with from time to time. So, but overall, I really like the gameplay. I think it's fun. And the last thing is the ease of the game. So, is it a game that I can teach anybody? For the most part, most people could play this game, I think. The theme really helps because most things make sense thematically, so I think that's easy to teach. The only thing that might be difficult for people is when you're not getting the right cards, or just starting to figure out how to, use the actions to move the books the way you need to. I think maybe takes you a few rounds to figure that out. But overall, I think it's pretty easy. I think this is a pretty solid game. Not my favorite game, not top game of the year for me necessarily. But, I'll still be playing it this year, so maybe it'll tick up before I do my top 10 games of the year. But I think overall this is probably an 8 out of 10 game for me. So if you are a book collector, or you like games, or maybe you know somebody that's an introvert, this could be a great game to bring to your table, to share with other people. It's fun. You should check it out. And if you like this video and you want more games and Bible studies and whatnot, click the little bell for reminders, subscribe, and maybe put a comment, and tell me what you think of this game, or if you're an introvert or an extrovert or whatever. But till next time, this is Jeremy from To The Table, and I'll see you on the next one.